the people of Durban, they've been treated to some quality football during this year's Cosafa Cup. And to help us talk about this tournament and other football matters, we are joined by the Cosafa General Secretary, Destombes, as well as Bafana's Cosafa coach, Helman Mkhalele. We do understand the coach is still having some problems getting online. But good morning to you, Sue, and thank you so much for joining us on Sports on Morning Live.
Good morning to you, and good morning to your viewers.
So, Sue, let's talk about, we're now at the business end of the Cosafa tournament, and we really did see a good crowd coming out for the Bafana match yesterday. Have you been happy with how the tournament has been supported by football fans? And what would you say have been the differences for you between the tournament in Durban and previous hosts such as Port Elizabeth or Gqeberha?
Firstly, yes, we've been very happy. We've taken the game to the people. We've been in Umlaut since we started on the 5th of July. The intention originally was to have had the quarterfinals at the Princess Magogo Stadium in KwaMashu, but unfortunately we had to ditch that plan because of water restrictions, which would have meant no water at the stadium. So we've remained at Umlazi, and as each day has progressed, and the vibe and the word has been out there, in the community, so the numbers have increased. And yesterday was a phenomenal crowd. Of course, everybody coming to support their home team, and it was really amazing. And the difference between, of course, this year and last year, hosted by Gqeberha at the Nelson Mandela Stadium primarily. Fabulous venue, etc. But of course, we had no spectators, and I think to the players, besides the organisers, but more importantly to the players, it's so much more gratifying to play when you know that you've got fans there who are cheering you on, and maybe getting annoyed with you sometimes, but interacting, put it that way.
Indeed, and now we're going to bring Coach Helman Mkhalele into the discussion. He was, of course, the man in charge of this Bafana squad going into the Cosafa Cup. Now, Coach, not quite the result you were hoping for, particularly given that the team only started playing in the quarter-final stage, and many thought that would be to the advantage of the team. But where would you say it went wrong for this Bafana side, and where you failed to defend this title?
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers. And thanks for the opportunity once more. Yeah, even though I couldn't get the question quite clearly, but what I've heard is in relation about what went wrong with the team for not qualifying for the semi-finals. I think some of the reasons that we saw yesterday during the game, that we dominated play throughout the entire 90 minutes. But what we like to do is to create more entries into the final third, to create more goal-scoring opportunities, as compared to our opponents, because we created more goal-scoring opportunities, over our opponents, but we didn't create them continuously. I felt that is one factor that contributed for us not winning the game in 90 minutes. And also, when you look at the squad composition, you see that the majority of these players, if not all of them, they receive their first cap, and that was also the factor. I feel that inexperience also contributed, in them, when you saw how they took the penalties, in front of the crowd, So I could see the pressure on them, how to handle it. I felt that, it was too much for them to handle it. So those are some of the things that I felt that in the game, contributed in our situation whereby we couldn't progress to the next stage. But however, I would say that, for us being disappointed, but we see the light, for the future, because the majority of these players, they are 21-year-old, and 19-year-old. So it gives me hope that, the country is in the right direction, even though we experienced a setback yesterday.
Indeed, and Helman, as you touch on the age of the players, in the past we had the likes of Thabo Sinong as well as Molefi Ntseki. They were full-time employees employed to look after the under-20s and under-17 sides respectively. What would you like to see in making sure that we build from the bottom and strengthen these junior teams, which are of course the future Bafana players? Should the under-23s who have made back-to-back Olympic who have qualified for back-to-back Olympics play more, or should we have full-time coaches for the under-20s as well as the under-17s? Would you say that would assist?
Yeah, what I would say, looking at the team, especially the composition of our players. So for the junior national team, and mostly the senior a national team, Bafana. My prayers or my hope is that I would have loved the teams, to play and use these players regularly, so that they can get the game time, and the experience that is needed at international level, because you find out, as you have rightfully said, in relation to our past youth tournaments, whereby we qualified, back-to-back with the World Cup, our under-23s. They also qualified, in the past editions of Olympics, But the challenge is that the majority of these players, they get international experience, and when they go back to their clubs, so now you find that they are nowhere to be found, so that affects continuity, that affects stability in the national team. So I would have loved to see players, getting more game time, at club level, that they can take it to the national team. Then we will have continuity and stability. So I believe that the interaction, the relationship between the PSL and SAFA, can improve in order to sustain that, because we do have the talent, but the talent without more experience, it is as good as nothing, especially when it comes to international football.
Indeed, and as we wrap up with you, Sue, we have run out of time. Just quickly, what are the areas that you and your team are looking to improve to get more interest in the Cosafa tournament, as this tournament does happen in the off-season when soccer fans are really starved of live football action?
I think it's amplifying the tournament, which we've stepped up a big notch during this tournament on our social media platforms, with our digital crew, etc. I think it is, the Cosafa Cup in most countries is very well known, always has been, over the years, possibly less so in South Africa. And that requires further education or amplification of the tournament and the benefits thereof. And just listening to Helman and looking at some of the results that we've seen so far, with the play this year, the likes of Eswatini and how they acquitted themselves with Senegal, etc., really entrenches, my view, our view, that the Cosafa Cup is extremely relevant in our region, and is also utilized by our visiting teams like Senegal, for instance, in developing and showcasing players, blooding new players, looking at fringe players, bringing up under 23s, etc. So, as a tournament, we're very happy with the general organization. We would one big thing that we would like to do is to be able to increase prize money. That obviously comes with additional sponsorship, but that we are driving. So I think generally speaking, we are happy with the tournament.
Thank you so much for your time here this morning, Sue, and congratulations on hosting what has been some quality football in the Cosafa Cup. And thank you so much to you, Coach Helman Mkhalele. That was, of course, the Cosafa General Secretary, Sue Destombes, as well as Bafana's Cosafa coach, Helman Mkhalele, talking about the Cosafa tournament, where unfortunately Bafana have been unfortunate to not be able to defend their title.